10 signs you're having sex with a narcissist. Sex is a major weapon of seduction that is utilized by all narcissists in some shape or form. Somatic and elite narcissists rely heavily upon the use of sex to seduce, to control, to draw fuel, and to access character traits and residual benefits. Cerebral narcissists use sex also, albeit not as much in the physical commission of the act, but perhaps more in remote ways. And even the victim narcissist will use sex, often utilizing impotence, incompetence, as a way of drawing an individual in to mother and nurse them. Sex is perhaps the single most effective tool available to the narcissist to assert control. Certain narcissists, of course, are hypersexualized, engaging in lots of sex. And if you want to understand more about the way that the narcissist uses sex and the way that the narcissist views the sexual act, you can do no better than read my groundbreaking book, Sex and the Narcissist, which you'll either find at Amazon or in the Knowledge Vault. Links in the video description. But here are 10 signs that you are having sex with a narcissist. Number 1. They want it often. A clear indicator of the narcissist is a very high libido, an immense sex drive, where the individual that you are in a relationship with wants it anytime, any place, anywhere. They give you lots of sex. The quality might be mind-blowing, or it may be less than so. But the point is, they're always up for it, always wanting a quickie, wanting a shag, wanting to get down and make the beast with two backs. They want to engage in sexual congress on a repeated basis. This is being done as part of essentially monopolizing your time by flooding you with lots of sex. It's done to make you feel that you're immensely appealing to the individual, so that you and your emotional thinking are driven to cause you to believe that you are highly desired, that this person can't get enough of you. Moreover, particularly if you have a narcissist that provides you with excellent sexual outcomes, it feels wonderful. You're given climax after climax. You're able to indulge in many of the fantasies that hitherto had only just been those, pure fantasies. Your needs and desires are catered for. The narcissist gives you what you want and gives you plenty of it. Monopolizing your time, there's asserting control over you and drawing huge amounts of fuel from you as a consequence of all of your responses, your orgasmic oohs and ahs and give it to me baby and yeah, that feels so good, etc. Hypersexualization is a key marker of the narcissist. Number 2, they suddenly stop wanting it. In any normal, healthy relationship, during the initial stages, there can be a lot of sex, and then this eases to something where it still takes place, but not as regularly. But it doesn't completely stop. With the narcissist, you're given loads when you're in the golden period, and then, when devaluation occurs, the sexual activity falls off a cliff. You get nothing. Backs are turned to you in bed. Your hands are pushed away. You might be offered excuses. I have a lot on my mind at the moment. I'm feeling rather tired. Can't you just leave me alone for one night? This, of course, is the devaluing behavior. And this is because the narcissism instinctively recognizes that you're embedded and under control, and that your fuel has essentially become stale, and you're now being unconsciously punished, where an unaware narcissist, or consciously punished by an aware narcissist, because you are viewed as a failure. Your failure to continue to pump out exhilarating fresh fuel amounts to a threat to the narcissist's control, and the narcissism responds by punishing you, withdrawing the very thing that you've been given plenty of. Therefore, there is a marked contrast. You were taken to the highest heights, and now you're flung down to the lowest lows, and therefore the gap between the two is all the more. It has a devastating impact upon you. You're confused, you don't understand why this withdrawal has occurred. This causes you to try harder to please and to placate and appease the narcissist, continuing to keep you under control and causing a shift in the provision of your fuel from positive to negative. Number 3, no birth control. It's neither mentioned, or if it is, it's dismissed. The reason being the lack of accountability of the narcissist. The suggestion of birth control amounts to some narcissists as a shackle upon control, and therefore there is a laissez-faire attitude towards it. Condoms aren't used, pills are not taken. Instead, I'll whip it out before I'm about to come, might be the best that you're going to get. The reason for this is that it demonstrates a sense of entitlement, absence of boundary recognition, and the lack of accountability demonstrated by the narcissist, which all go to the issue of being able to assert control and nullify the threat to control posed by you insisting upon contraception. It is also linked to the fact that a narcissist may well try and get you pregnant or become pregnant as part of the assertion of control over you. This doesn't happen with all narcissists, but certain narcissists that operate in that way regularly look to impregnate you or become impregnated, as having a child with you is a very effective way of binding you to the narcissist and asserting control over you and laying our hands on the prime aims. Number 4, it's robotic. There might be plenty of the sex, but when it takes place, you do feel like you've got into bed with a robot. It's perfunctory, the grinding away, the lack of genuine intimacy is prevalent. This happens more with your lower echelon narcissists, whose imitation game is not as good as it should be. They haven't learned the appropriate noises, actions, sounds, and reactions to make to convince you that they are fully absorbed in the act of lovemaking with you. Instead, they are demonstrating to you that they are in effect masturbating with your body. The sex is robotic, devoid of warmth and intimacy, because there is no warmth and intimacy with the narcissist. It just so happens that this particular type of narcissist is unable to mask that, because their narcissism has not evolved in that manner. Number 5, they are not there. The narcissist is clearly in the room with you, coupled with you, engaging in having sex with you. But it's as if their mind is somewhere else. They might not look at you, they might be staring off into the distance, or even if they do look at you, you feel that they are not present. It's not the case that they are thinking about somebody else or being with another person, although that can happen. More usually, it's quite simply that the narcissism doesn't need them to be occupied mentally in the act, but instead just causes them to go through the activities and actions because that causes the narcissist to be able to assert control over you and draw fuel. Because there is no true connection between you and the narcissist, although you are conned into believing that it's the case, the narcissist is simply not present. You are getting a glimpse of the emptiness that lies behind the veneer that is demonstrated to you. Number 6. You're made to do things that you don't like. The narcissist operating with a sense of entitlement, a lack of emotional empathy for you, an absence of boundary recognition, and a lack of accountability for their own behaviours will often use malign manipulations to cause you to engage in behaviours sexually that you find distasteful or even abhorrent. The narcissist, particularly where somatic or elite, will engage in a variety of behaviours where basically they're up for anything. With no sense of boundary recognition, with no restraint upon those behaviours, and no due regard for you as a human being, because simply you are an extension of their desires and needs, the narcissist wants you to engage in particular sexual practices. In some instances, you are given no choice whatsoever, and you find yourself being forced to do these things, absent consent. In other instances, you are made to feel guilty if you don't engage in it. There is pleading, possibly pity plays, guilt-tripping that takes place in order to coerce you into catering to these needs of the narcissist. Where you find that you are being made to do things that you don't like and you express your disapproval but it is ignored, countered or deflected, you're likely to be dealing with a narcissist. Number 7. Intimacy occurs very quickly. You meet the narcissist and that night you're enticed into bed. Of course, with any of these indicators of themselves, they are just indicators. But where you have a range of them and they're repeated over a period of time, then they become more determinative of the individual that you're dealing with. Intimacy will often occur very quickly with a narcissist. Again, this arises out of a sense of entitlement, an absence of boundary recognition, a lack of accountability for behaviours, and an absence of emotional empathy. The imposition of sexual activity upon you means that the narcissist is able to use this major weapon of seduction to get hold of you, to control you, to draw fuel from you, etc. And because the narcissist is in a rush to bring you under control, particularly where the narcissism detects that you will prove a particularly useful appliance, then this is wheeled out at a very early juncture. You may find yourself being taken to bed at a very early juncture, maybe within mere moments of meeting the narcissist. You go on a first date, and there is an attempt to get you into bed to perform a sexual act, possibly not even before you get home. And this is all done because the narcissist needs to assert control over you, and the use of sex is a particularly good way of doing so. Number 8. The individual doesn't climax or has difficulty doing so. This is as a consequence of the fact that the act is too intimate and therefore feels like a threat to control to the narcissist. Therefore, the narcissist is unable to reach the point of release, and instead there is a retardation in that regard. Sometimes the hypersexualization of the narcissist reduces the amount of sensitivity, resulting in the fact that achieving orgasm becomes particularly difficult, and instead they either don't bother or they sneak off to the bathroom to manually relieve themselves, and you find out afterwards. In other instances, it is as a consequence of the act being that of intimacy, and the narcissist must guard against that, and this causes the prevention of the climax occurring. For some narcissists, the idea of the climax is a threat to control because it's caused by you rather than being caused by them. This is often the case with cerebral narcissists, who feel in essence that their climax isn't theirs and that you've caused it, and therefore that unconsciously is a threat to control because they haven't decided that it should happen. You often find with those particular types of narcissists, they're more focused upon what you want rather than what they need, and that they essentially say that your pleasure is their pleasure. It's all about the assertion of control. Number 9. You feel like a burger. This doesn't mean that you suddenly get hungry after engaging in sexual Olympics with this particular person, but rather you're flipped around the bedroom or wherever you might happen to be, as if you were a burger. The narcissist or suspected narcissist picks you up, puts you down, flips you over, turns you this way, that way. Not interested in whether you're enjoying it or not, but it's simply a performance. They are showing off, demonstrating their sexual prowess by banging you against the wall, by taking you from behind, by riding you into submission. All of it is being done because they are essentially, again, just masturbating with your body. And, in so doing, they have no interest in what you get out of it, but rather it's the performance where in their own deluded mind they are giving you the time of your life whilst you're there lying, if only he'd keep me in one position rather than keep throwing me around the room, I might actually start to enjoy this. Being treated as that proverbial piece of meat is both literal and metaphoric. Number 10. Sex is used as an incentive or punishment, where the individual suggests that if you do something for them, you'll be rewarded by some hanky-panky, or where you feel that you're guilt-tripped into doing something because there is the threat of you won't get any sexy time. Then in such circumstances, there is the likelihood that you are dealing with a narcissist. Sex is merely a tool for the narcissist to get to the prime aims. And, for instance, if it's such a thing as a residual benefit of you making something for the narcissist to eat, then the narcissist may well say to you, make me a bacon sandwich and I'll give you a good seeing to. Or, if you don't do the shopping for me, you're not getting any off me tonight. The use of sex blatantly in such circumstances as a manipulative tool is a strong indicator of what you're being dealt with, that it's being used as a commodity in order to control you and draw other benefits from you. These are 10 indicators that you're having sex with a narcissist. As I mentioned earlier, spotting 1 or 2 does not necessarily mean that that's the case, and it's the greater the number, the more likely that it's determinative. These are, of course, just 10 examples, and there are many other signs that would support that you're dealing with a narcissist. And I would direct you, as mentioned earlier, to my book, Sex and the Narcissist, and also to utilise the narc detector to make the determination as to what you're dealing with. But as a starting point, these are 10 common signs that you are having sex with a narcissist. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.